Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make sourdough with fresh milled flour. What we're going to start off with is some whole wheat berries here, and I'm just going to measure out 500 grams. I'm going to go ahead and pour it into our grain mill, and we're going to put it on the finest setting just so we get some nice fine sourdough. So now that we have our flour nice and milled, we're gonna go ahead and take the entire mixing bowl and we're gonna sit it on our kitchen scale. I really like this one because you can actually fit the entire bowl on here, which is super nice. Go ahead and weigh out 700 grams of warm filtered water. Make sure it's set on grams. We're gonna go ahead and add our salt, and this is gonna be 20 grams. And now we're gonna add 200 grams of our active starter. Once we've got our starter in there, I'm just gonna grab our dough whisk, just get that starter nice and broken up. Once we've got that all mixed in there, I'm gonna go ahead and add our flour. We'll do 500 grams of our whole wheat flour here. And then we're gonna do 500 grams of unbleached all-purpose flour. I like to do half and half with this recipe just because the fresh milled wheat berries will actually absorb more water than your all-purpose flour. So it's nice to do the half and half because then you don't get as dense of a loaf. But you can totally do the full thing whole wheat if you want. And then I'm gonna pop our stainless steel dough hook on, and I'm just gonna stick that right on the mixer. And the nice thing about this is it cuts out your stretch and pull time. So it's great to use the mixer with this recipe. And I'm just gonna go ahead and pop this splash lid on, and I'm just gonna set it to a 2 and let it go for about 3 to 4 minutes. So it's been about 4 minutes, and you can kind of tell that it's ready when it's kind of elasticy right here, and you can tell it's still gonna kind of break apart because it needs to sit. It's a little bit more elasticy and it's holding its shape pretty good. So that's kind of how you know it's done mixing. So we'll go ahead and put that right in here. Now, once we've got it in here, we're just gonna do a few stretch and folds. So with the stretch and folds, I'm just gonna do the same thing, just pull it up and fold it over. And we'll just do it about 4 of them just to get it all the way around and really get those glutens developed in there. So I'm just gonna let this guy sit. I'm gonna cover it with some plastic wrap, and we'll let it sit for about 8 hours, come back, check it, and see if it needs some more time. So now that we've made our sourdough loaves, we're gonna go ahead and feed our starter. Today we're gonna do a 1-to-1 ratio. We're gonna have our discard from the starter that we just used for our loaves, and we're gonna go ahead and set a new jar on our kitchen scale, and we're just gonna measure out about 50 grams. So we're at about 60 grams right there. All right, now that we've got 60 grams of our unbleached flour, we're gonna go ahead and add 60 grams of room temperature filtered water. And I'm just gonna give this a really good mix. You wanna make sure that it's mixed well enough to where there's no clumps of flour or starter in there. Now that we've got that all mixed up, I'm gonna go ahead and put our little marker around. That way we can track how much of a rise it's gotten. And usually with starter, you're good to go ahead and start making bread once it's doubled. Go ahead and mark it there, and then we can come back and check it and see if it's doubled in the next couple hours. And stick our lid on there too. Okay, so we're back 8 hours later. Our dough's looking good. You can see some little bubbles in there, and it's nice and jiggly, and it's not sticking to my fingers. So that kind of tells me that it's ready. It's done bulk fermenting, and it's gonna start getting into the point where it's overproof. So now we're gonna go ahead and shape it. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of flour down, and we're just gonna plop this guy out. Now that we've got this out, this is a recipe for 2 loaves. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball 2 here, cut it right in half. And now we're gonna go ahead and do our lamination. So I'm just gonna gently stretch this out. And this is just another way to kind of work out those gluten strands and get them nice and strong. And we're just gonna do like a rough rectangle. We don't wanna get it too thin to where it's ripping. If you wanna do like inclusions and stuff, now's the time to add them. Once you've added your inclusions, or if you're just doing like a plain loaf, we're gonna do our tri-fold cinnamon roll. So we're gonna go ahead and fold one side over, and then we'll fold the other one right over that, kind of tuck it in. And now we're gonna make our cinnamon roll. Perfect. So now that we've got our cinnamon roll, we're just gonna fold it right in half, and we're just gonna gently make it into a nice round bowl shape. So we'll just do our little candy cane. Now that we've got her nice and tight, we're just gonna lightly flour our bannetons here, just so it doesn't stick. And then we're gonna put this seam side up. We want that seam to be upwards right there. And we're gonna let these guys sit on the counter for about an hour to 2 hours. And then we'll come back and we'll put something over them and put them in the fridge overnight. And you can do it anywhere from 4 hours to 48 hours. Once you hit that 48-hour mark, you're gonna go into the territory of overproof dough, which you don't want. We'll let these guys sit out for about 2 hours, and then we'll put them in the fridge. All right, so these guys have been sitting in the fridge for about 4 hours. So we're gonna go ahead and pull these towels off, and we're gonna stick them onto our bread slings, and we'll give them a good score. I also have my Dutch ovens in the oven preheating, and my oven is set to 450, and they've been in there for about 30 minutes. So we'll go ahead and plop these right on our bread slings. And you can flour the top if you want. I'm just gonna do a quick score and throw them in the Dutch oven, but if you wanna get really pretty with it, feel free to give it a good flour and a pretty score. I'm gonna grab my bread lom right here, and I'm just gonna do a little C. That way it kinda expands evenly. And then we'll just give it a good little wheat stock right here. Nice and simple. We'll do the same thing on this one. I'm gonna grab my Dutch ovens out, and I'm gonna put these guys in there. These bread slings make it nice and easy because they've got the little holes right there. So you can just plop them right in. And now I'm just gonna add 1 ice cube into each of these, right underneath the bread sling. And then we'll stick the lid on, and we'll put them in the oven for about 25 minutes with the lid on. And then we'll take that lid off and let them go for about another 15 to 20 minutes. Just pulled our bread out of the oven. I had them in there with the lids on for 25 minutes, and then I took the lids off and I had them in there for another 15 minutes until they got brown where I wanted them. Go ahead and pull them out and place them on a cooling rack. And again, this is a wheat bread, so they're gonna be a little bit denser than your typical all-purpose sourdough bread. So keep that in mind as you're baking. And then we're gonna let these guys cool on the cooling rack for about an hour, and then we can slice into them. It's been about an hour now, so we're gonna go ahead and cut into our first loaf. As you can see, it's nice and crusty. This is a wheat bread. It's gonna be a little bit denser. So as you can kind of see, it's a little bit more dense than your typical sourdough. You can see all the pretty wheat in there, nice and fresh milled, and it's gonna taste even better than it looks.